Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. Hey guys, welcome back once again. Here we are. It's a little bit cold, so I'm wearing the old school graffiti hoodie that I've had for probably 15 plus years. So what I wanted to go through with you guys today is, as the title suggests, you can't win the game from the sidelines, right? It's very easy to stand on the outer edges and look in and be critical or judge others of their performance when they're on the field and you're not even on the field or in the arena watching, right? So when I was younger, I was very much in that mindset of fight the system. And I don't know if it was that I was drawn to hip-hop because it had a similar narrative, or I developed that mindset because of hip-hop, right? Chicken and egg. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is this is the story, right? So I think maybe it was part of growing up too, you know, that youthful angst and energy, you know, when you're, you know, coming into adulthood, and it's really that first time in your life that you start to have any sense of independence to make your own decisions. And you know, naturally you look at the world that you've been given and you see things that you feel can be done differently or better, and you want to do something about it, you know. Well, at least in my case I did. But that was very much from my sort of mid-teens, probably when it really hit. I can remember that transition where I was a good student, did reasonably well, wasn't the brightest in the class, but you know, started out with like all A's and B's, and progressively ended up with just average satisfactory grades, just C's and passes. And I remember probably about 16, 17, where I just sort of had enough. I don't know, just lots of different things change in your life as you go through puberty and figure out your life, right? And so I had this immense frustration and anxiety around the world that I was presented with, and wanted no part of it. Like, to be, you know, brutally honest, I wanted to live on my own terms and really just have freedom to make my own decisions. I couldn't stand the idea of some outside forces, or I guess not forces, but outside factors being people that would dictate the direction and progression of my life. So it was such a frustration, you know, that like I wanted the sense of regaining control. I wanted to feel like I had a say. I had pulling power. You know, I wanted to feel like I was in control of my own destiny, right? And the hardest part, I think, whether I wanted to admit it or not, it was I was a part of the system. You know, I spent so much time, like, looking back, thinking about it, how much that I wanted to avoid it so much that I really just, how do I articulate it properly? I guess there was such a sense of frustration knowing that when you're coming of age and you're about to enter you know manhood and have the ability to finally be independent for the first time in your life, like, you know, you've grown up, you know, with your parents, and they're pretty much, you know, the dictators of your life that guide you and tell you what to do. And right when I'm coming into that era of being able to make adult decisions and choices for myself, I felt like I was going from, I guess, as they say, from the frying pan into the fire, and I just felt like that 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 long sought after anticipated independence and freedom was a mirage. I just thought, I'm going to go into this finally world of my own, which someone else is going to tell me how I have to live my life, and it really grated on me. I don't even know why I had so much frustration around that. Now it's not the case now, naturally, but everything changes as you grow and learn and figure things out, right? And um, I think part of it was just feeling so helpless, right? I just I felt like I had no power, none at all. Like felt like as I say, coming into manhood and being completely stripped of your ability as a man, right? And I was making my life this overwhelming burden by struggling so hard against a system that's so ingrained, right? This is over millennia of society developing and evolving and changing as people build and decide how we move forward as a species, and to sort of it gives you perspective, I guess. You feel kind of small, like, and sometimes that's a good thing to feel small, because it helps you to see things from a different perspective, or put things in perspective, just give you a different way to look at it, right? And it, it wasn't so much that the system was really the enemy, which is, what I was projecting. Ultimately, I myself was the enemy. I was, creating. I guess I was an enemy to my own success, self-sabotaging my own progress. I didn't really. I was making my own obstacles, I guess you could say, right? So I was very much outsourcing my responsibility coming into my manhood, and blaming other outside factors. So the hardest part is understanding, like, you cannot, as one person, fight or take on a system that has developed over thousands of years, through countless billions of people, right? Have shaped and molded and this system has become. And ultimately, part of, I think, what was not a helpful or practical way to consider it was, I constantly saw myself as outside the system, right? But you're never outside the system. You're a part of the system. You're just positioned in a way that you may believe that you're not part of the system, or that you're from the outside looking in. But we're all encompassed and all connected and all a part of it. The system is all these moving pieces that flow together. And once I sort of really took that in and took time to do the work and process that and think it through, it really starts to sink in that you must, learn the game, and then you can play the game, and that's the only way you can win the game. As I said, from the beginning, it's easy to sit on the sidelines and scream, your critique at other people and their efforts and their endeavors and what they're doing, but not realizing, you might be on the sideline, but you're still in the system. That's part of it, right? And I think one of the most That was probably, if not the most powerful lesson that I was ever given, that shifted the entire course of my life, because there was this massive roadblock that I was placing on myself, just this huge wall where I was, let's say, I liken it to, like, you imagine that there's everything you've ever desired is 10 meters in front of you, right? You can see it. It's right there. It's almost within reach. You could feel like if you've reached out, you could grab it, right? That's the world. What I was seeing was everything I've ever desired was right in front of me. And it was like all I had to do was run towards it. But before I got the chance to run, I'd taken ropes and tied myself to a tree before I started to run. That's what I was doing to myself. I was completely self-sabotaging my own success, right? And when I was gifted with that lesson and told that you cannot fight the system from outside the system, you have to be a part of the system. And when I truly accepted that and understood and took it on board and succumbed to the reality of my existence, everything changed almost instantly. It was like this shift of suddenly feeling like like my eyes were open. Like all of a sudden I was presented with the game board, with the playing field. I understood I can waste my entire life fighting against something that can't be fought against. It's just and in doing so, it's not affecting anyone else but myself, right? I'm constantly fighting against the evolution of society and the structures that we live within, and I'm just one man. And I had this hell-bent desire to excuse me, just to not play any part in it. I don't know if that was the case, right? And once I understood, like, that the system isn't the enemy, right? The system is not the enemy. It's really mindset is, and mindset is under our own control, right? Obviously, naturally you hear stories, people try to manipulate your mind and use tactics and tricks against you to get you to do things that you might not normally do. But ultimately, it's on us. We get to choose the way we respond and approach and handle the world that we've been given, right? So I would I just understood, once I knew that my place in the system, I wouldn't say is important, but it serves a purpose. It has purpose. There's a reason why I am where I am and doing what I'm doing. It's all part of my journey and my lesson, and all of that's tied into everyone else around me, and even people at a greater capacity and extent that you never really touch. The flow on effects that are underlying, we don't really understand yet, and so I took that upon myself once I was gifted with that lesson that I had to be part of the system, and I already was part of the system, but I had to accept my part in the system, right? There's probably a better way to phrase it. And so I really just set out then to understand how this game works, right? As I say, learn the game, play the game, win the game. And I honestly, like, if I can, be real with you guys, which is all I know how to do, is I don't even understand how I expected to be successful, or to whatever capacity I chose that to be, without playing. How could I possibly win if I'm not even playing? And I probably, youthful naivety, didn't really think it through. I understand, what I'm up against. I don't be so hard on myself. I was young. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I know a little bit now, and in 10 years from now, I'll probably look back and be embarrassed at what I thought I knew now. That's life. That's what's beautiful about it, right? Forever better. And so I took this time, right? Okay, well, how am I going to approach this? What do I need to do? If I've committed now, I understand my belonging. So I set out to understand, how does the game work? What are the rules? What are the constraints? Where are the loopholes? What are the loopholes? I started working on educating myself so I would no longer be wasting that energy trying to fight against this, millennium old, is that the word? Millennium old system. But I decided to transfer and shift that energy, which I think this is now, and that's a powerful thing that I think is valuable to share with you guys. Like, especially when you're young, you have this abundance of energy, right? Life force is flowing through your veins, through your body. And like I still feel this now, but I'm, as I say, I'm in my late 30s, and the power and energy that you just feel through your 20s, when you're just like coming into your adulthood, and you have so much excitement and joy and passion around what's to come, and the endless possibilities, right? When you're at that age, the world is your oyster, like as they say, right? So that energy has to have a purpose. You have to have a reason, or a direction, or a way to direct the energy in a way that is not only beneficial for you, but if you position the use of your energy correctly, it will return tenfold to you. The flow-on effects, as I spoke about earlier, of what that brings back to you, right? It comes and goes, it moves, it's constant, right? So when you have that abundance of energy, and I was using it in a way that was not beneficial, I wouldn't say negative, because even in mistakes, lessons live. There's a lot of, if you are attuned to what's going on, and learn from what you're doing and the outcomes that come from your actions, you can harness that and use that. So there's always benefit and positive that comes from whatever situation you're in, as long as you utilize it and make the most of what you've been given, right? So I don't see it as mistakes, but I understand now, as I'm a bit older, that a better use of that energy, right? So I was what's the word I'm looking for? Is it expending a lot of energy on like fighting, as I say, fighting against a system that I couldn't fight, right? Like, if you think about how much energy does it require to push a boulder up a hill? You can do it. Is there a good outcome in it for you? What happens, like, let's say, right, if your task is to push a boulder up a hill, right? Or your decision, you've chosen, like I had, to push a boulder uphill, and you're at the bottom of that hill, and you have all this energy, right? And you're putting everything you've got into taking that boulder, and you're pushing, and you're sweating, and you're earning it, and you're moving that boulder, and inch by inch it's going further up the hill, further up the hill, further up the hill, and it's hard work, but it's moving and you're seeing it and you feel like you're progressing and you're getting somewhere with it, right? And you get up to the top of the hill, and you realize when you look back down that you've made this so difficult, this journey on yourself, that you're looking back where you've come from and you see how unnecessary your struggle was and how exhausted you are, and you've wasted so much of that valuable youthful energy you have. And then when you look back, you see the boulder rolling back on top of you and it crushes you and kills you. Super morbid, I know, right? But like, reality check. That's what I was doing. And I'm not, like, I'm sure there's people out there. Maybe you're listening to this right now, watching this, and this is like a huge wake up call for you. Maybe you were feeling the same way and you're frustrated and you don't want any part of it. I promise you, you're in it whether you like it or not. And it's not anything to be upset or frustrated about, but you have to understand the game that you've been given, and you use the skills that you have to navigate through it to get the outcome you're looking for. Learn the game, play the game, win the game. It's the only way forward. Now you picture like the someone else. Let's say your task is to push the boulder down the hill, right? And you're at the top, and it takes so much energy to get that boulder moving, and it's just physically challenging and hard work, and you're frustrated and it seems like it's never going to move, right? And then you start to get a little bit of movement and it excites you and it gives you a little bit more energy, right? As I say, you put that energy out, positive energy, and it comes back to you. And it makes you feel a bit stronger. It makes you a bit more capable. You feel a bit more excited about your task of getting this boulder down the hill, right? So you're pushing and you get ignited and you feel energized by it and you feel it move more. And so it starts to be perpetual, and you're pushing and pushing, and eventually you start to see the boulder starts to take momentum and move, and it starts to roll down the hill. And as it lifts off and moves away from your hands, you realize it's moving on its own, and now your task of moving down the hill, you just have to walk down at a leisurely pace and follow the boulder and meet it at the bottom. How much energy I wasted pushing a boulder uphill when I didn't need to. And I think back, like, imagine how that there's no real benefit in looking at that like that. What ifs. Actually, the more I think about it, it's probably not helpful, right? I could sit here and say, what if I did this? What if I started reading earlier? What if I started educating myself? But none of this would have come about if I didn't go through the experiences I went through and learn and be ready for the gifts and lessons I was meant to receive. I couldn't possibly have valued or appreciated, potentially not even seen them when they were right in front of my eyes. I've spoke about this in other episodes of the podcast. If sometimes you can't even see the opportunities all around you, you have to train yourself to see them, and they're everywhere. I promise you, they're all around you. Even if you can't see them now, they're everywhere. You just have to learn how to see them, right? So everything has got me to here to talk to you guys right now. So there's no bad in it. I'm where I'm meant to be, right? So understanding, as I say, my plan was to learn everything I can about the game, okay? If I can't fight the system and I don't need to fight the system, how do I take that energy and put that same effort and energy into activities that are going to benefit me and others and move me forward and help me to absorb more positive energy so I can give more back out, right? So I this is as if anyone has been a part of Forever Better for a little while, and you understand my origin story, and you know where I've come from. So much of this over the last 5 years has been just continual evolution and discovery and understanding and learning as I go, right? That's what we all have that capability to do together. And one of the hardest things, as I say, if you feel like I did, and you're in that frustration where you don't want a part of this, and you can't see your place in it, it's okay. it's going to feel unnatural at first, because the biggest conflict is like changing and challenging yourself to shift that mindset to see the real enemy is your mindset. The enemy isn't external. It's something internal that you've created, or a story you've told yourself, a concept that helps you to justify your actions and decisions. And that's really what it was. If I boil it down right now, if I would probably say, at first for me it was like, it felt like it went against every ounce of my being. Every fiber in my body felt like I wanted to fight. And it was just misdirected energy, right? And it felt so unnatural to be accepting or want to, I guess, accept or step into the system that I spent so long fighting against. And I think ultimately I didn't really trust myself to succeed. If I really am being honest, and I think back about it, it was a way, as I said, to justify my beliefs, my actions. If I believed that the system was the enemy, or someone else was to blame, or something outside of me was controlling my life, it's easy to make excuses then, because I've outsourced my responsibility and power, as I said, to someone else. So then I feel justified in not playing the game, in not learning the game, in not understanding the world I've been born into, because, I might not like it. And whether I like it or not, I don't really get a say in the world that I'm born into. I just have to navigate it and make the best use of my abilities to get the best outcome and live the best life I can while I'm here. And that's all it comes down to. And after really comprehending this and taking it in and really becoming a different person after doing this, all the areas of my life improved. All of them. My relationships got better with my wife and my kids, with my friends, family relationship with my father. I never had a relationship with my dad when I was younger, and did a lot of work in mending that and growing. Wealth is improved. Understand money better. My health has improved. I lost like almost 20 kilos. I take better care of myself, and ultimately my sense of purpose. All of those things, like, as I said, we've talked about this in previous episodes. The things when you're a little kid, if you don't know what your purpose is now, I want you to lean in and listen to this, okay? When you're unsure of what you're here for, but there's a tiny little whisper, and you can hear a little something, and it's not enough to clearly define what your purpose is, but you can hear it. There's something that you need to pay attention to. You know it's there. You're trying to hear it. You're pricking your ears up, just hoping to catch a glimpse or something. That little voice of you as that inner child. You can hear it, right? Keep listening for it. Hold on to that, because I promise you, as you go through these experiences and you learn and you grow, that voice gets louder. And it gets clearer. And when it does, you start to realize that what you thought the voice was saying the whole time was exactly what it was saying. But now that it's clearer, it's just confirmation of what you already knew. That's it. All those things that feel so difficult and challenging, and the struggles that you go through, and you feel like you're not going to make it through, you will. You've got to make it through those things, because those things build you and shape you and confirm and let you hear that voice clearer. It'd be a tragedy not to get to that point where you hear the voice loud and clear and you know exactly what it is, what your purpose is, and what you're going to make of your life. I want you guys to take that, really, please. If you feel like you're, down and out and struggling, and you feel lost and you don't know what's going on right now and how to navigate this society and systems, just listen to the voice. Clear out all the clutter and the noise, and know that you've got to play the game. And when you play the game, you win the game. That's the only way. Don't waste your energy fighting, pushing that boulder uphill. I've done it for too long, it took me a long time. I'm almost 40, and I feel like sometimes I only feel like I'm just getting it, and maybe I don't really know a whole lot yet, but I know enough to know that what I'm doing is improve my life, and it's working for me, and hopefully it'll work for you too. And ultimately too, like, I think a lot of that, I've probably shied away from the system, because if I think back on it, I was probably afraid, because coming into being a man and not having much life experience, because you're young and you're learning, you're just becoming a man, I didn't have anything to offer. And this system, this society, whether you think it's like evil or not, it's not the case. It's not the system. There's people that are bad and there's people that are good. There's people that do bad things, people do good things, Good people do bad things sometimes, and bad people do good things. It's just actions, energy, flow, balance. There has to be good and evil. It's just the nature of the universe, right? But the system itself is built on giving and contribution. Now, Isaac Newton said, if I'm great, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And what, he meant by that is he's built upon everything that's come before him, all the people that have done things prior to him being here that he's been able to benefit from and take and absorb and give. That's it. Take the things that society is offering you and mold them and shape them and put your style, put your flavor on them, and then give them back. Right? And that's it. That's why I feel like I was probably fighting the system, because I didn't have anything to give yet. And I felt afraid. I was scared. I want to be successful. And when I say successful, it doesn't mean, drive a Lamborghini and have, 11-room mansion and $1 billion. Like, if that's success for you, power to you. One love. Do your thing. I got nothing but love for anyone out here, And if success for you is knowing that, you've got a warm bed to sleep in and three meals a day, that's a hell of a nice success in my eyes too, So it's all about giving in this system. And once you understand that, and you do things for the benefit of others, because ultimately it's for the survival of our species as we move forward. Everything, like, you guys watching me, you're probably watching me on like an iPhone or a MacBook or something like that, perhaps, a Galaxy phone, whatever it may be. Those things are possible because of people that came before who gave to the system and contributed and dedicated their lives to the future, and people that haven't even been born yet. That's what we got to do, So don't be afraid of the system. Give to the system, because when you give to the system, it will give to you, I promise. It will energize you like you never believed, and you'll be able to give more and more and more and more. All right, so don't forget, okay? I always say this, and I say it because, repetition is important, and it's how we learn, and it sinks in, Who could you become? Who do you want to be? Take this, and please, if you get some value from this, let me know. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Tell me, put a comment in the YouTube video, jump on foreverbetteracademy.com. Jump on all the social channels. Tell me if there's value or your favorite part of this. Please share it with me. I'd love to know, because ultimately, for me to give, I need to know what you need. So if you guys share with me, then I can share stuff that you guys need, and I can play my part in giving to the system, right? Giving back. Yeah. Ultimately, when you've got options, you've got hope. And when you've got hope, that's how you win the game. Thank you guys for being here. This is Wade Vincent, and I love talking with you guys, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks. See you later.